Story 1. Likes. Instant torque and quiet operation. Driving in traffic is much less stressful, and not stopping at gasoline stations is a bigger quality of life improvement than I expected. Dislikes. Inconsistent charging infrastructure and the need to plan for longer trips. When charging is reliable, it is great. When it is not, it is very frustrating. Cold weather range loss is real. Overall, an amazing daily driver but still a compromise for long road trips. Story 2. The only thing to dislike is how poor the charging infrastructure is. Other than that, everything is positive. Story 3. Likes. Instant torque, rapid acceleration, can be charged at home so no more trips to the gas station. Quiet with minimal vibration. Dislikes. Limited maximum speed. Most can barely reach 150 kilometers per hour and the battery drains faster at high speed. Winter range is significantly worse. I have a first-generation electric Peugeot E208 without a heat pump. Its winter range is barely 200 kilometers. 5 years later, my second car, a new Mercedes CLA, has a winter range of 650 kilometers even when driven aggressively, and it charges very quickly. Electric vehicles are the future, in my opinion, and they improve every year. Story 4. I love the instant power, quietness, and technology in most electric vehicles. I dislike people who have never owned or driven an electric vehicle yet tell everyone how much they hate electric vehicles and trust the propaganda fed to them by algorithms. Story 5. Absolutely love it. I never want to drive a gas-powered car again. It is quiet, responsive, and has instant torque at all speeds. Long trips can be annoying, but that is a small portion of my driving and easy to work around. 20 minutes is generally the maximum I need at a supercharger. The worst thing is that, without an engine, the snow does not melt on the hood, though that is not a big deal. If I have to sit in the car waiting for a child, I do not worry about exhaust in the air. Never having to go to the gas station is also great. Story 6. My biggest dislike, which I have not seen mentioned while scrolling through this post, is that they usually look dumb. I like a car's grill. Cars look goofy without one, and the fake grills on electric vehicles do not work for me. At least it seems manufacturers are moving past the phase of adding a weird blue accent color to signal an electric vehicle. Everything else is great. Story 7. It is the opposite of driving a gasoline car, for better and for worse. City mileage is great, better in the summer than in the winter. Highway mileage is poor. A car with a 300-mile range can probably do 350 miles in the city when the weather is mild. You would be lucky to get 200 miles on the highway in the middle of winter. Maintenance is minimal, at least in terms of changing engine filters and oil. You do wear through tires faster, but not dramatically. If you got 40,000 miles from a set on a gasoline car, an electric vehicle will probably do about 30,000 miles. Home charging is a game changer. Wake up every morning with a full battery and pay the equivalent of $1.20 per gallon. Public fast charging is a bit of a pain because, unlike a gasoline pump, choosing the wrong charger can be the difference between a 15-minute charge and a 90-minute charge. The chargers are nowhere near as ubiquitous as gasoline pumps and currently cost more than gasoline. I paid the equivalent of $4 per gallon on my last road trip to Houston. Applications such as PlugShare are extremely useful for finding the best places to stop. All in all, I am never buying another gasoline car. Electric vehicles are not perfect, but I still think they are better than gasoline cars, and unlike gasoline cars, I can see them getting dramatically better year over year. Happy owner of a Kia electric vehicle 6. Story 8. Public charging requires a universal standard across all brands. Story 9. It is great for driving from point A to point B. Charging on long trips is not that big of an issue because I can keep myself busy, but I do not consider it driving. Hitting the twisty roads in the French Alps in a manual transmission petrol car on back roads is something you cannot replace with an electric vehicle. Story 10. 8 years driving electric vehicles. The supercharger network allows interstate road trips without any planning. The acceleration is impressive. Tesla full self-driving is a complete game changer. If you have not tried version 14, test drive it. I can tap a button while parked, and the car leaves my driveway, taking me from Long Island through New York City to the Poconos Mountains in Pennsylvania and parking in the driveway. Zero disengagements during a 3-hour drive. I never touched the wheel or the pedals. The drive is smoother and safer than I can drive myself, so it is relaxing to sit back and supervise. Story 11. Likes. Inexpensive to charge and maintain. Powerful for its size. A low center of gravity improves handling on poor winter roads. Dislikes. Shopping malls install 40 free chargers, but do not maintain them, so only 3 typically work at once. Road trips require more planning because it is better to stop for lunch where the fast chargers are. My dealership keeps emailing me saying it is time to change transmission fluid, oil, or spark plugs, then gets confused when I remind them my vehicle has none. Story 12. New Honda CR-V hybrid owner. All the artificial engine noises drive me loony. The excessive revving that does not match the actual workload of the engine is like watching an old B-movie where the actor's mouth movements do not match the dialogue. The slow ascending afterlife noise at low speed is tolerable, but the artificial engine noise is diabolical. Story 13. The instant torque is incredible, but the smugness from other electric vehicle drivers is unbearable. We get it. You are saving the planet. I am too, but without the superiority complex. Story 14. I love my electric Smart for 2. Not only is it an electric vehicle with instant torque and one-pedal driving, which makes driving very comfortable, it also has a very small turning radius, which is ideal for European cities. I really cannot complain. I bought the car brand new from the factory for less than 10,000 euros during the coronavirus disease 2019 pandemic, when governments injected funds into the economy. Since I mostly use it for commuting to work on urban roads with frequent traffic or for traveling within the city to leisure and shopping destinations, a single charge typically lasts about 2 weeks, though it is shorter in winter when I need to run the air conditioning. Being able to charge at home is a benefit. Charging the car cost me around 100 euros last year. Story 15. BMW i4 M50. I love the car and the way it drives. I hate the depreciation and range loss in winter. It is a great daily driver since I have a charger at home. I put 36,000 miles on it in 1 year. Story 16. My brother, who is leasing a Tesla Model 3, says, Pros. Instant torque, very responsive, and easy to handle overall. Cons. The large touchscreen is cumbersome. Charging is slow and inconsistent. It is best for city driving, and it performs poorly in cold weather. Story 17. Driving is smooth, quiet, and produces no exhaust fumes. You can run it in the garage for heating or air conditioning before leaving without worries. It heats up much faster in winter because it does not need to warm an engine first. It offers amazing features compared with any other car I have driven, including driver assistance and automation, safety systems, mapping and trip planning, infotainment, and more. I never have to go somewhere specific to buy fuel and often do not have to think about it. I wake up every day with a full charge. It can power appliances for days during a blackout, and with the right hookups it can power an entire house. It can be charged anywhere there is electricity, which is available in more places than gasoline. You could even charge it in the wilderness with portable solar panels. Charging is slow, but you cannot generate gasoline from thin air. Maintenance is minimal. Energy cost per kilometer is about 1/3 to 1/4 of that for a gasoline vehicle. I am lucky to be able to charge at home. In fact, I have never used a public charger in 2 years of owning an electric vehicle. If you cannot charge at home, practicality decreases significantly. Story 18. I have a 2024 Model 3, so some of this will not apply if you bought a different brand. Instant torque is amazing. It is plenty fast for me, since I have the dual-motor all-wheel drive version. I drive in chill mode most of the time on my commute. I get free charging at work, so I have literally spent $1 on charging at home so far just to make sure it works. Superchargers are good, though I do not really use them. One-pedal driving is great for commuting, and it makes things much easier in my opinion. Brakes will last a very long time since they are rarely used once you get a good feel for one-pedal driving. Software updates arrive regularly and add new features each time. Not having to shift gears or feel gears shifting is nice for commuting too. It is very smooth and fairly quiet. Older Model 3 and Model Y interiors are inferior compared to the refreshed version. The software is good and the screen feels like a smartphone, very responsive. Most other automakers have frustrating interfaces. The app is very easy to use and can control many functions remotely. Dislikes. The car is kind of boring. I miss engine noise and rowing my own gears, but at this phase of life the car makes more sense. I wish it had normal turn signal stalks. I do not like everything being controlled from the screen. I would prefer a few dedicated buttons. That said, because Tesla software and the screen are very good, this is not a deal breaker for me. The automatic wiper function is terrible, almost laughably bad. Tesla build quality still leaves a lot to be desired, but the service center has taken care of everything so far. The car is heavy, so it is not great for spirited driving compared to true sports cars, and it will wear through tires quickly. Overall, I love the car. The instant torque is addicting. Even my wife wants an electric vehicle at this point. Her car feels like a dinosaur from a throttle response perspective. Story 19. F-150 Lightning. This F-150 Lightning is probably the best vehicle I have ever owned. I have owned many. The range is excellent, charging at home is convenient, and I have spent only $26 on maintenance for a tire rotation in 20,000 miles. The performance is unbelievable. There are many comments here about the public charging infrastructure. I have not found it to be an issue. I live in an area that is not very friendly to electric vehicles, so there is never a line, and the places I go have convenient fast charging in good locations to meet my needs. Faster charging would be nice, but it is not a showstopper. Story 20. Things I love. Being able to come home, plug my car into the house, and wake up to a full charge without having to factor in getting gasoline for the trip. Not having to think about gasoline prices. Electricity costs money, but it is much less. They drive smoothly and quietly. The annoying things, when I cannot charge enough, charging can take a long time. Range anxiety is real. Our primary vehicle supports superfast charging. If I can find a level 3 charger, I can usually charge to 80% in under 20 minutes. Because electric cars are relatively new and parts are not always readily available, repairs can be difficult and slow. Because we do not pay gasoline tax, our state charges much higher vehicle registration fees to make up for the lost revenue. Overall, I love it and hope I never have to go back to driving gasoline-powered cars. Story 21. I briefly owned a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, a Mitsubishi Outlander, but it was not suitable for me. I did not research or think it through enough and did not realize the compromises I would be making when buying that car. I live in rural Wales, so the charging infrastructure here is poor compared with most places. The battery-only range was about 17 miles, and it only marginally increased miles per gallon when used alongside petrol. It would probably have been more economical to choose the diesel version. The 3-pin charging cable was bulky, became very hot while charging, and took more than 6 hours to add about 16 miles of range. The car also did not heat up well. Conventional cars use engine heat for cabin heating, but plug-in hybrid electric vehicles and electric vehicles use electric heating, so it took much longer to warm up or de-ice the car than any I had owned before. There were positives: strong torque, quietness, interior space, and comfort. Ultimately, it was not the right car for me. I will consider a full electric vehicle in the future, but not while I live where I do now. Story 22. The only thing I dislike is the range on my 2019 e-Golf, but it is otherwise perfect for my needs. Story 23. Likes. Charging at home, never having to go to a gas station. Large frunk in my F-150 Lightning so I can keep the cabin clean and the bed free for truck gear. Backup power for the house if there is an outage. Site power for saws and lights. I do handyman work with my truck. Fast. Comfortable. Clean. Safe. Low maintenance and low downtime. Dislikes. Public charging infrastructure. It is getting better fast, but it will still be a couple of years before it is as easy as gas. You cannot just pull off at the next exit and expect to charge. You have to plan for it. It is not terrible at this point, just an extra step on a long trip, but it is still a negative. Time charging with meal and bathroom breaks, and you will rarely have to wait for the car. Story 24. On average, an electric vehicle is simply a better car, but that does not mean it works for everyone. If you live in an urban or suburban area, you can charge even with a low-power Level 2 charger at home overnight, and if your commute is less than 50 to 80 miles, depending on your home charger, an electric vehicle will easily meet your needs 95 to 99% of the time with minimal overhead or lifestyle change. The remaining 5% might require a little planning or, in the worst case, use of a commercial charger. I used a commercial charger only once in the year I owned my car, and I honestly would have made the trip without it. I was already supportive of electric vehicles when I bought one. I had planned the purchase for years and already had a charger in the garage, but I was still surprised by how much of a paradigm shift it was. The main issue is that most people do not have an accurate sense of how many miles they drive on a typical day or on average. Instead, they are used to thinking about their peak driving days and worrying about how long it takes to charge compared to filling up at a gas pump. They are not used to thinking about range on the assumption that they will top up at home every night. I was the same. I worried about needing the extended range and charged every night just to be safe. In short, I still had range anxiety. After I gained experience, I realized I almost never drove more than 100 miles in a day, and the rare occasion that I did was never a surprise. I started charging only when the state of charge fell below 50% to reduce unnecessary battery charge cycles, because I still had 100 to 140 miles of range. I should add that road trips require some extra planning. We have a plug-in hybrid vehicle as a second car that we will use for road trips until charging infrastructure improves, but it has honestly come a long way already. Story 25. Like, cheap to operate locally, quiet, excellent traction control, better interior space on dedicated platforms. 8. Direct current fast charging is prohibitively expensive, about 50% more expensive per mile than using 93-octane gasoline in a supercharged V8 engine. Charger roulette. Winter and high-speed range loss. Every electric vehicle I have ever driven has major infotainment drawbacks. Poor driving dynamics, usually due to weight. No sports cars yet. Story 26. I like everything about electric vehicles, but we still need the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Program operational as designed. If the goal is a reliable nationwide electric vehicle charging network, charging prices would likely come down eventually. Story 27. As someone who works in the industry and owns an electric vehicle, I find the infrastructure challenges are not that bad if you live near a major city. Many of the challenges of owning an electric vehicle are not caused by a lack of infrastructure but by poor planning. If you own a combined charging system vehicle and do not already have a combined charging system to North American Charging Standard adapter, consider getting one. It provides access to about 60% of the charging network operated by Tesla and allows you to use Tesla chargers. This reduces many planning headaches. Likewise, if you have a North American Charging Standard vehicle, a North American Charging Standard to combined charging system adapter can help. Many chargers are now being installed with such adapters thanks to the Society of Automotive Engineers J3400 standard. Story 28. Likes. Low fuel cost, low maintenance, good technology. Dislikes. Old battery, poor resale value, reduced range in cold weather. Story 29. Love. Speed, smoothness, and quietness make driving fun. Charging at home with rooftop solar makes me feel better about climate impact, and it is very convenient. I also do not feel guilty about exhaust fumes or about leaving a car idling in a parking lot. I like all the technology, though that is not specific to electric vehicles. Do not love. On the few trips I have taken with an electric vehicle, public charging is sometimes an issue, but that is temporary as more stations are built and servicing improves, and I was never stranded. With a family, one electric vehicle for commuting and local use and one plug-in hybrid electric vehicle or conventional hybrid for road trips is the way to go for now. Story 30. I am a Polestar 2 driver and I love it overall, especially after installing a Level 2 charger at home. All significant complaints are related to charging. Here are my main ones. Note that with a home charger and a daily routine that does not require frequent public charging, almost all of the issues below are eliminated. Finding a charger can be challenging. If there is a line and you do not have enough range to go elsewhere, it can ruin your day. Planning long-distance trips is difficult. A better route planner does a very good job overall, but I often have to use an alternate charging station because the recommended one is full or has a line. I avoid long trips that require more than one charging stop. Cold weather reduces range significantly. I do not live in a very cold area, but the loss of range in cold conditions is annoying. I cannot imagine owning an electric vehicle in the northern United States. For example, at 90% battery, we get about 220 miles of range in normal temperatures. When it is cold, range drops to about 150 miles. For most people, an electric vehicle makes a great second car. To use one as your only car, you need to live in the right area and have the right lifestyle, and be prepared to spend more time planning daily travel and long trips. Story 31. Here in the Philippines, I love how efficient electric vehicles are in bumper-to-bumper traffic with almost negligible energy loss. The 1 to 2% energy loss that occurs during about an hour of stop-and-go traffic is typically consumed by the air conditioning. Downsides: internal combustion engine vehicles are most efficient on highways, while electric vehicles consume more energy at high speeds. Wind drag also significantly affects energy efficiency. Story 32. I liked the acceleration but disliked the battery logistics and the anxiety associated with long trips. Story 33. I love everything except the infotainment software, which always seems to glitch in new ways. Story 34. Likes. Requires little to no maintenance, is quiet, offers autonomous driving, and I never have to fill the tank because I installed a level 2 charger at home. Dislikes. Having to manage the house batteries to avoid draining them because of time of use schedules. The car has a small chance of becoming inoperative at an external fast charger if a software problem occurs. The economics do not really save me money because of significantly higher registration and insurance costs, large depreciation losses, and rapid technology changes. Charging is only somewhat cheaper than gasoline. Registration is $800 per year. Full coverage insurance, including liability, property, collision, and comprehensive, costs me roughly $0. 60 per mile. Electricity is now $0. 34 per kilowatt hour at home and $0. 67 to $0. 90 per kilowatt hour at direct current fast charging. I like driving electric vehicles, but knowing what I know now, I would buy a cheap used electric vehicle that I would be comfortable driving without collision coverage. Story 35. I have a 2025 Silverado electric vehicle. The maximum range is 450 plus miles per charge, which is close to the range of gasoline vehicles. It has 760 horsepower. What I like: almost everything. The silence. There are no annoying engine noises competing with conversations or music. The instant torque at all speeds is impressive. I could be going 75 miles per hour. If I need to pass someone, the power is immediate, so overtaking is easy. No gas stations. Much less maintenance. At 10,000 miles, all I have needed is windshield washer fluid and one tire rotation, totaling about $30 spent on maintenance so far. Charging at home is another perk. Charging during off-peak hours after 10 p.m. costs around 11 cents per kilowatt hour, which saves me a lot of money. My truck uses an 800-volt architecture, so it charges very quickly at direct current fast chargers. I can add about 300 miles of range in 15 minutes. There is no range anxiety with this truck. The ride is smooth. Electric vehicles benefit from the battery weight being spread across the floor, giving excellent balance and a planted feel in corners. In winter, the extra weight helps. My truck is a tank in snow and handles terrible weather with zero issues. The heater in winter is almost instant. Takes about 30 seconds to warm up and start blowing hot air. The only downside so far is a rattle in the dash on rough roads. When a vehicle is otherwise quiet, any noise stands out. I had the dealer fix the rattle, but a few months later it returned, so I will have to have it looked at again. Story 36. I love everything except the increase in road noise. I hate driving gasoline cars when I rent them, but they are the most economical choice. Story 37. Everyone here likes not having to stop at a gas station. But isn't connecting and disconnecting an electric vehicle every day more work? I can pump gasoline in 5 minutes. It's not a big deal to stop every 1 or 2 weeks. It's better than forgetting to plug in an electric vehicle or to disconnect it. Story 38. I like the instant acceleration, but I dislike almost everything else. Charging requirements on longer trips and even shorter ones are a major problem. I came from a Skoda Superb with all options and good suspension. It managed 1100 to 1200 kilometers on a full tank easily. As a daily driver, I only had to fill up once a month, costing at most €100. My new company car is a Skoda Enyaq 80. The suspension is poor. I feel every bump because the car's weight distribution is affected by the battery. The rail driving range is very disappointing, averaging around 360 kilometers. The advertised range of 450 kilometers does not reflect driving on the freeway. Home charging is convenient, but finding a fast charger when away is a pain because they are mostly on freeways and near cities. I live 30 minutes from the closest city, so a trip requires 30 minutes out, 30 minutes back, plus the fast charge time, which is 20 to 40 minutes just to gain a bit of battery. Fast charging is expensive. The other day, I paid €21 for 25 kilowatt hours in the Netherlands. I needed that charge to get home. At that rate, I would pay about €60 for 250 to 300 kilometers, almost triple what it cost in the Superb. Range anxiety is horrible. With a fossil fuel car, when the fuel gauge is low, you have a good idea how far you can go. With this car, it shows 20%, then the estimated remaining range drops by a lot with every kilometer driven. An electric vehicle is great for people who do not travel far by car. If you only do short trips like shopping or commuting to a nearby office, it works. For longer trips, it is not there yet. The biggest issue for me is the range. Unfortunately, this is a company car and I did not have a choice. I bought another car for trips that are more than 1.5 hours away from home. Story 39. What I do not like is how expensive they are compared to a gasoline or hybrid version. Also, the depreciation really hurts to see the resale value drop so much after a couple of years. Story 40. I want the ability to warm the car over the internet and defrost the windows if necessary. I have just woken up and there has been a hard frost overnight. I would like the car to be at 25 degrees Celsius and the windows clear in 30 minutes. Because this is automated, I do not have to do anything now. Story 41. Many other cars have this feature now, but we chose a Tesla for the self-driving capability and safety features. My wife has brain cancer. After treatments and related complications, she has difficulty driving regular cars. Not that she cannot drive, but she becomes overwhelmed easily. Having a car that can essentially drive her when she does not want to or when safety is a concern was a lifesaver. It has allowed her to maintain independence and freedom instead of waiting for me to do everything. I work 80 hours or more at a time, so she could be extremely bored for days at home. There is a lot of misinformation about electric vehicles, often driven by political hatred or ignorance, including claims about fires. People try to argue with me about vehicle fires even though I work as a firefighter and a paramedic, and I also serve as an inspector and an investigator. Those conversations usually end with them dismissing me and saying that I do not pay attention. Story 42. The vehicle had no soul. I did not feel attached to it, so I returned the leased vehicle early. Never again. Story 43. I like everything. I hate people who have never owned or driven an electric vehicle telling me what it is like to own or drive one. Story 44. What I like varies day to day. Sometimes the acceleration, sometimes the fact that I never have to go to a filling station. Most of the time, it is the blessed silence that lets me listen to my music undisturbed. I do not hate anything about it. I wish it had more range. It uses 10-year-old battery technology, but I will get that with my next electric vehicle. Mine has served its purpose well. Story 45. I love the cost savings. Charging at home costs about $15 a month for 1,200 miles of driving. Everyone in the house wants to drive it, so I rarely get to use it. Story 46. Love. The immediate linear gas pedal response. Reduced noise. Reduced impact on climate change. better air quality, lower cost per mile, fewer and cheaper repairs. 8. Range is not quite up to par yet. Charging infrastructure is not fully in place. Where I live it is fine, but other parts of town are still missing infrastructure, and neighboring countries are far behind. Story 47. Love. Zooming past Jim Bob in his lifted pickup and Caden, Jaden, and Hayden in their souped-up Civic. Low charging costs at home. No need for oil changes. Lower maintenance costs. Technology decades beyond current internal combustion engine vehicles. Hate. Charging times. A drive that used to take 4.5 hours now takes longer when charging time is included. Story 48. We just bought an electric vehicle yesterday, and it will be ready for delivery in about 2 weeks. We have a charging station at home and solar panels. If needed, I can even charge at my workplace. Driving the vehicle is pretty new to us, aside from one test drive. We are curious about other experiences, both good and bad. Story 49. Love the quiet. The best road trip and commuting car I have ever owned. The local charging network is great. Zero hassle. Fast when I want without having a noisy car all the time. No warm-up time on cold mornings. Just get in and go as hard as you like. Story 50. Love. Instant torque, quiet operation, and low maintenance costs. No oil changes and charging at home is inexpensive. Hate. My car takes about 1 hour to charge on a public charger. This is not a deal breaker because I only need public chargers for long trips, about once a quarter. For my next electric vehicle, I will consider how fast it can charge. Many people mention charging infrastructure, but it is not a problem for me when my car charges that slowly on any charger. I do not mind spending 20 minutes charging. I mind spending 1 hour. Story 51. Your experience depends heavily on your location and use case. I have been driving electric vehicles for about 12 years, including the Chevrolet Volt, the Chevrolet Bolt electric vehicle, the Chevrolet Bolt electric utility vehicle, the Volvo XC40 Recharge, and the Audi e-tron. They are perfect for me because I only need a commuter and grocery getter, since I have a minivan for longer drives. I also have level 2 charging installed in my garage, so I have used public charging only 3 or 4 times ever, and it is not a concern. That is the biggest complaint most people have. There are really no downsides except for that. Low costs to buy used, low costs to run, and low costs to maintain make them especially attractive right now. Story 52. I have a 2023 Mustang Mach-E Grand Touring. My wife has a gas-powered car, so my electric vehicle is used only for driving around town. We use hers for longer trips. Pros. How quick an electric vehicle drives, especially a sportier one like mine. Cuts through traffic easily. There is almost no maintenance on electric vehicles, which saves a lot of time and money in the long run. Not having to stop for gas is amazing. I used to spend $60 a week on my gas-powered car. I have level 2 charging at home and at work, which is very convenient and keeps the vehicle charged. Finally, the technology is fantastic in most electric vehicles, especially Tesla vehicles. Cons. Charging is the main drawback. Long trips require a lot of planning. I would not recommend that anyone buy an electric vehicle without access to level 2 charging at home. It is a must. Story 53. I love that car ownership is problem and cost-free. No oil changes or transmission problems. I dislike that it is problem-free because I enjoy working on cars as a hobby mechanic. I live in Norway, so charging infrastructure is not a problem, and I almost never use fast charging because I have chargers at both my home and my cabin. Driving range could be better, but I drive more than 350 kilometers maybe once a year, so it does not matter. Story 54. I bought a Morris Garage's Model 4 last year, and it has been amazing. It has been less efficient in cold weather but not by much. It costs hardly anything to run because I have solar panels and receive preferential rates for electric vehicle home charging. On long journeys I have to plan ahead, but the charging infrastructure in the United Kingdom is improving. The main downside is that public fast chargers in the United Kingdom are very expensive, about twice the price of those in Europe. Road tax is being introduced next year, but it is still cheap to run and a lot of fun to drive. Story 55. I love never having to go to the gas station because I charge at home. The car is fast, safe, stylish, and technologically advanced. I dislike the cold weather range. At 32 degrees Fahrenheit, the range starts to drop. Near 0 degrees Fahrenheit, the range is about half. I strongly dislike the chief executive officer of the company. Story 56. Likes. Low maintenance. No cylinder heads to worry about, no alternator shenanigans, and no oil changes. I change my air filters and tires and check tire pressure. Dislikes. Tires wear out faster because of torque and weight. Other than that, I cannot think of anything. Story 57. Love the way it drives. I have an electric vehicle that was also sold as a model with an internal combustion engine, but the extra low-down weight means it handles much better. I don't like the charging infrastructure. I live in Australia and our main highways are covered, but on a recent road trip I could not take a route home because a key charger was out of order. Luckily PlugShare was updated. Otherwise I would have been stuck with no fallback. Story 58. The acceleration is great, and you only have to worry about tires, windshield wipers, and fluid in terms of maintenance. The limited range, charging time, and the fact that map charging stops are often at semi-inconvenient locations make it a nuisance for anything more than local door-to-door driving. Range anxiety, even for veteran electric vehicle owners, still hits at times. There is no worse feeling than being 15 miles from your destination with the dash showing 25 miles left. Then when you accelerate, the vehicle goes into self-preservation low propulsion mode. It is fine if you have at least a level 2 charger at home and a workplace where you can charge. If I had to rely on a level 1 charger at home and constant stops in Target parking lots, it would get old. Story 59. I love power, torque at any speed, comfort, and quiet control with poise. I especially enjoy not visiting gas stations and the silence. It is incredible to reach 55 miles per hour with nothing but wind noise. Engines sound loud by comparison even though they are doing nothing. I do not have strong dislikes, only slight drawbacks. Range loss is a factor, but it has never prevented me from reaching my destination, even when traveling. One dislike is the rampant electric vehicle propaganda and disinformation. Many electric vehicles still have first-generation issues, meaning any brand new car can have mechanical or electronic problems. I have not found the charging infrastructure to be insufficient, except in remote areas such as Northern Ontario. Story 60. Advantages. Cost savings, no visits to gas stations, instant torque, low maintenance, smooth and quiet. Disadvantages. Lower resale value, long-distance trips require planning for charging stations. High cost to install a garage charger of $700. I drive a Ford Lightning. In my view, the advantages greatly outweigh the disadvantages. It is so sad that Ford discontinued the Lightning. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.